Hello, so today is going to be a Jinx Wukong game. So this one's going to be a little bit exciting. It's actually going to be spin to win, which is like the Wukong hero augment. It's very, very strong. And you should pretty much almost, if you're angling towards the comp, you should almost always take it. But you know, I'll talk through my thought process, and this is going to be like the more traditional VOD reviews like I do on my daily channel. Sorry, there's been a bit of like, you know, fun content and clips a lot. I've just been having a little bit of a time keeping my daily streak, but now we're back to VOD reviews. So if you're looking for that educational content, make sure to like and subscribe. But anyways, we're gonna be going over Jinx Wukong. So starting out, I'm just trying to hold some unit pairs on stage 2, set myself up for the first augment that's coming up. The portal, or the like the main portal, like galaxy that we got into, was 3 champions, so I just started with a couple 1 costs. And we're just going to try and see. I might play towards Shapeshifter, so I'm holding this Elise and this Jace pair. I've been selling multi-strikers. Maybe I should have held multi-strikers. There was maybe a multi-striker reroll angle with the items that I had. So we'll see how it goes. Holding on to Warwick's because Warwick reroll is very, very strong, and I can maybe build towards Warwick items if I get the right components. Looking around, seems like everybody's holding a Warwick, so that's not going to be the greatest idea. I'm not the biggest fan of multi-strikers unless I find that I have an Ashe and a lot of Ashes and Jaxes early, so I don't really care too much about holding the Kassadin. However, I probably should hold this Galio, so I need to sell some units just in case I play towards mages. I could make econ, but I'm just going to hold Galio pair with the mages. Maybe I play towards mages, or I'll decide to play something else. Looking around, this guy has a mage emblem, so I probably don't want to fuck with mages at all. So we're probably going to have to like pick something else. Cluttered Mind, it's kind of okay if you're going for like a fast 9 build. I don't think so. I have Jace paired, Elise paired, but they're not upgrade. If they're upgrade, I'd probably take Cluttered Mind. What doesn't kill you isn't that great either. It's like decent for components maybe. But if I'm going to be sacking many rounds, I think early game here, I'm probably going to angle myself towards like Callista. I don't think that Royal Guard is that good on Callista. Here I hit Scoreboard Scrapper, and I kind of look at my opener, I look at my items. I don't really want to slam any components right away. So I'm just saying to myself, okay, I'll probably just play Scoreboard Scrapper. I'll angle myself towards like a Guinsoo, and then I'll either play a reroll, or I'll probably just angle myself towards Callista. The way Scoreboard Scrapper works, by the way, is that every round that you lose, basically every round, if you're in the bot 4, you get buffs for your whole team. So you basically just do more damage. If you're in the top 4, then all your units gain a percentage maximum HP. So ideally what you want to do is you want to sack the early first couple rounds, get yourself in a big health deficit so that you stay at the bottom of the leaderboard for as long as possible. Then you spike, and then once you spike, you just win out. That's like the idea with Scoreboard Scrapper, is that you usually want to like sack enough HP such that you're stuck below a certain point, and then you just ramp up all of these extra stats for your units, pivot into your strong board, and then win out from there. That's typically what the idea is. I don't think the units are like per unit. It's not like the unit has to be in with Scoreboard Scrapper from my understanding, but it's totally fine. Either way, no matter how it works, like nitty gritty, it doesn't really matter. The main thing is that stage 2, you want to lose as many rounds as possible. Pick on carousel, so priority pick on the carousel to get the right components. And then once you have the right components, you can play towards whatever comp. Currently in this patch, same as it's been for the last couple months, one of the best stable, reliable comps you can play from a lose streak is Callista Rakan. So right now I'm just putting all the fairy units in. I'm just going to put the basic Callista Rakan units, and the chances are that I'm going to play towards Callista Rakan. I have a rod, so what I'm planning on doing is I can use the rod to make a Guinsoo. So I'm going to sack these first couple rounds, get my Scoreboard Scrapper value, hit a bow, then play towards Callista. That's my thought process. It's not very good to play Callista in these reroll meta lines a lot of the times. That's the only reason why it seems to be not doing as well as it was in previous patches. I still think it's completely fine to play. It's completely strong. There's no issues with it. However, the only thing that you have to be very, very cautious of is that if you're the only one playing 4 cost, people aren't helping you to hit your units. What do I mean by that? If there's a lot of people playing 4 cost, let's say there's somebody's playing Ryze, right? The Ryze player isn't going to hold on to Rakans and Callistas, but he is going to hold on to Ryzes, Tarics, and other units like Nami. And what's going to end up happening is, because he's taking those units away from the 4 cost pool, you that are also rolling for 4 costs are going to have an easier time to hit the other unit, so it makes it easier for you to hit. That's the same way reroll works, except reroll the effects are way more exasperated. Excuse me. What ends up happening is if a lot of people are playing 2 cost, 3 cost, 1 cost rerolls. So for example, if there's like 2 1 cost rerollers in the lobby, because you're buying so many copies of the same cost of unit, it makes it really easy for those different boards to hit. It's also why it feels so awful when you're contested. But either way, as of right now, I'm not necessarily angling myself towards Jinx or Wukong. I'm sure you'll see towards the middle of the game. I already spoiled it through thumbnail and early intro that, you know, I'm probably gonna be playing Spin to Win at one point. I'll bring up the stats for it in a second. I'm not gonna bring it up right away. It's just because like early game it's a little bit difficult here because I am gonna pivot into Jinx Wukong, and I'll talk about why I pivot into Jinx Wukong, and then you could kind of like extrapolate that to your own games and when you should pivot and why you should pivot and stuff like that. But anyways, hopefully everybody's having a great day. Something that's really interesting. I would love it. I don't think I have like, you know, on the YouTube. I'm a small YouTuber, so I don't have like worldwide like viewers, I would say. But something that's really interesting is like this game's gonna end up being a Jinx Wukong game. I think I was looking at Chinese stats for like, because I think there's like the tournament that leads up to Worlds that was ending for China, and I think EU was today, so I didn't see EU stats, but I think China's finished yesterday, or at least one of the rounds did. Jinx Wukong is just not played in China servers, and I don't know why. Like, it's fucking shocking to me. I remember I was looking at the stats, and I think it was like played like once or twice, and it averaged like a 6. And then if you compare it to like NA regionals, like I'm in NA region, so I have a much better grasp on what like NA servers are doing, obviously because that's what I play in. But Jinx Wukong is like, it's usually like once per lobby. It's like 1 per lobby, and it's like very strong. Just playing around hunters with Jinx. I'll show the board after when I get there. But it's just so interesting that there's such a huge disparity in not only the placement of the comp. Like, I remember not this regionals, but like the other tournament before this regionals, people were like double contesting Jinx and both going top 4. Like, to me it looks like one of the most like broken comps. Like, not like giga broken, but it's like very, very strong. I don't understand why. I think even EU doesn't play it all that much. I remember EU was doing a thing like at the same time that people were contesting Jinx, a lot of people were contesting multi-striker in EU tournament results, and those ones were just placing better than Jinx. And it's like, I look at Jinx reroll with Wukong, and I'm like, this is just like way better. It might also explain why a lot of times when I look at the patch notes, I'm like, I don't understand why they're buffing Jinx, or I don't understand why they're buffing these other things, because, you know, when I look at a comp and I think that it's strong, like, I just look at like all the stats for like everybody, but man, there's such a huge discrepancy. So, you know, if you're someone that's in one of those regions, and like, you know, maybe this is a less common comp and you might even be skewed to think that it's really bad, I assure you that it is quite strong, and I would definitely recommend trying it out and recommend playing it from time to time, especially if there are other rerollers in your lobbies. It will definitely help you out. But anyways, oh, I have the Skeletor thing. Oh, because I was complaining. I have this thing in my Twitch chat. If I'm complaining too much, you can like use channel points, and then it will play like a video. So that video is just telling me to shut the fuck up because I was bitching about the last game. I've been very frustrated on stream, by the way. I've just, you know, like I said, I've been very stressed and busy IRL. So then when I stream, some of that translates to it. But additionally, I hate this set so much. I'm so done with set 12. You know, maybe that's not the thing you want to hear from somebody who's making content for this set, but you know, I do look at my end results in an unbiased way. It's just like, it's so unfun for me. I'm a very 4-cost flex type of player. Whenever there's a 4-cost flex patch, that's usually where I have the most fun. I play the most games. I usually rank up the most. These last couple patches for set 12, I've just been playing the bare minimum to keep the YouTube daily uploads. I'm definitely going to put in a lot more effort in set 13. So don't worry, if you're looking forward to set 13, you know, you're at the right place. Usually the sets where they have like these big tournament stuff is very exciting. Like, they have the Macau Open now, I believe. So like there's gonna be like another IRL tournament. It's gonna be like set 10. So I think the early patches are gonna be very, very dynamic, which is gonna be very fun. So I don't expect a similar situation as this set, where like the early sets, like the early patches were like dominated by like Syndra and like very specific comps. it's definitely gonna like ramp up in a way. Anyways, I'm starting to slam items here. I'm still really weak, by the way. I should have held on to this Ashe. This Ashe is a better Guinsu holder mid game than the Seraphine. But I wanted to tailor to see if I hit like a fairy +1 or something. But anyways, if we look around here, this is where I'm gonna like start looking at stats. I'm gonna like introduce some stuff to you guys. We hit spin to win here. Now, if you look at my items, there's one thing that's really important. As you can see, I'm like triple scouting. I'm going to scout so much here because I want to make sure that Jinx Wukong is uncontested. I see somebody that's contesting Kalista, which is already bad to my general game plan. I look around. It does not look like anybody has items or a spot to play towards Wukong Jinx. So I'm going to pause the video for a second. I'm just going to describe a couple things here. First of all, last round, you saw that I made a Sterix. It's on my Lilia right now at the bottom of the screen. The reason I made a Sterix is because I need to make a frontline item using the components that I had. It's not necessarily a good item to make, but originally I was angling towards Kalista, and I don't want to lose too much HP because, you know, there's a matter of like you have to lose a bunch of rounds because of scoreboard scrapper, but you also have to win a couple, not win, but you have to like kill units still, so you're not like, you know, 10 HP at the end of stage 3. Everybody else is playing reroll, so they're all spiking really hard. Me without any frontline items, the only other frontline items I can make are Eon, like Edge of Night, which isn't really a frontline item. It's just going to make my tank invincible, and then they're going to target my backline. Or I can make a Sunfire Cape. Sunfire Cape provides me with anti-heal. However, Sunfire Cape is a really bad tank item. It doesn't give good tank stats. It's usually a utility item, so it's not really a tank item. So I make Sterix Gauge. The other reason I made Sterix Gauge is because the Kalista comp doesn't really like swords. Swords aren't that great for making frontline items besides the Sterix Gauge. Kalista usually want bows and attack speed on her because you want her to ramp up. The whole point is that she ramps up, does the whole rending effect, does a bunch of damage, and keeps the Rakan alive. So I make Sterix Gauge here because, you know, in the worst case scenario, I can put on Rakan. If I high roll and I hit a Camille and I hit some late game units, I can put the Sterix on the Camille and the late game units for the Kalista board. When I see spin to win, now we'll go into stats. I'll just let the video play in the background because there's nothing crazy to see here. Now, obviously, I never recommend taking a hero augment without having copies of the units or a good spot for it. The reason my spot is so good is because my items are so insane for Wukong. So if we go to, we're just going to look at stats for a second. Now I'm going to introduce like spin to win. So if you look at spin to win, it averages like a 4.4, that's fine. If you put it with a Wukong 3, it is very, very strong. It usually averages like well into the 3s, right? And if you pair it with the Jinx, if you pair it with like a Jinx where like you actually hit your board, you'll see that it averages like close to a 3. It's just an insanely strong, very, very consistent, insanely high top 4 percentage. There's a small win percentage. That's usually just because it's reroll. You have to really high roll to hit like the max copies of all the other units. But this is one of the best hero augments to hit. The Wukong is just an absolute demon. Now, if you look at items in terms of the units, Wukong, the best set of items on the Wukong, like, obviously some of these are Jinx items, but I think, from what I've seen, the best items are Gargoyles, Bloodthirster, Sterix, right? You still want to have one Gargoyle on Wukong, because the Gargoyle, he's going to be solo frontlined. If you read Wukong's ability, he scales off of armor, so a lot of times you just want to stack heavy armor, and because he's like a frontline unit, you put the Gargoyle on him and he gains a bunch of armor because everybody's targeting him. So that's how his active normally works. If you read spin to win, what ends up happening is it scales with attack damage instead of the resists. So the part of his ability that scales with armor and magic towards the end of it is actually going to scale now with AD. So what you want to do is you want to stack AD items. So one of the best items you can make is a Sterix. Sterix gives a bunch of AD and it gives a bunch of HP, so it pairs really well with Wukong's passive, which gives him armor. If you pair it with the Gargoyles, you have a pairing of HP and armor, which makes the Wukong extremely tanky, and it gives him a bunch of AD. So it'll make his second ability of the damage being so much more massive, and then typically you put a Bloodthirster on him. Blizzard gives him all the stats that he needs. It gives him survivability with the HP shield, gives him AD, gives him a little bit of AP, which also scales a little bit of his ability. So basically you're making Wukong into like this frontline melee monster. And when you're playing the Jinx board is the same as usual. I'll show it right now in the team builder, right? You're just playing Wukong Jinx with Hunters. And you're basically just, when you're playing spin to win, you're basically just substituting the Wukong with AD frontline items, similar to like a Fiora build. You still want him to have some sort of tankiness, so you still put one Gargoyles on him usually. That's like the go-to. Obviously, if you don't have these items, you could put something else on him, and then you can worry about it after. Now, hitting it is actually extreme. It's a pretty big bailout from my spot, I'm not gonna lie, because I was playing Callista with 2 swords, and I was already kind of talking about how I didn't like the fact that I had 2 swords. But this is basically the board you play. You play level 7 reroll, you go for Jinx 3. Oops, I have too many of the Jinxes. I need to put a Twitch. You play around Twitch, Olaf. Kog'Maw usually is on the board to give Jinx a little bit of attack speed. You go for 3-star Jinx, 3-star Wukong, then you can push levels and play extra preservers. And if you had a Hunter +1, you play 6 Hunter. Both are really good. That's like the basic idea with this board. But as I continue to talk, we'll go back to the actual video. So I find a Jinx eventually. The thing about the Wukong that is so massive was that my items weren't that great for Callista anymore. The reason that my items weren't great for Callista was because I had 2 swords. I didn't have another bow item for Callista. I also didn't have a recon item. On Carousel, I just take a cloak. I'm scoreboard scrapping, so all my units are going to get giga juiced. And if you look at my items are almost perfect Wukong items. So I just got gifted spin to win out of nowhere. It's not like I tailored for it. The game just gave me spin to win. And I had perfect Wukong items. And it just gives you 2 Wukong. So I hit Wukong. I rolled on level 7 a little bit to stabilize here. And as you can see, I'm okay with winning some of these rounds. As long as I'm in the bot 4 of HP, I'll still be getting my scoreboard scrapper value. But I want to start turning the game around so I don't free fall and just lose all my HP for free. But anyways, it worked out really, really well. Now, talking about my board's going to look really weird for a couple seconds. It's going to take a while until I get online because I wasn't holding all my Hunter units. Up until now, I wasn't holding on to Kog'Maw, I wasn't holding on to Twitch, I wasn't holding on to all the other shit. So it's going to take a little bit for me to get online. The Wukong is going to be stable enough, especially a 2-star, to carry me throughout most of the fights. He's just going to be most tanked, most damage dealing. It's just going to be a super unit. So that's totally valid, it's totally fine. So what I want to do is I want to build my board to support the Wukong. A lot of the times, like if I show you the Hunter Jinx board, you're typically just playing Wukong. Wukong exists for Wukong purposes. You play Preservers to help the Wukong, and then you play the Hunters to augment the Jinx damage. Because my Wukong has more items than my Jinx and is doing more damage than my Jinx in most cases, I don't really care about playing 4 Hunters right now. I play Preservers, and I found a Nora. I rolled on level 7, I found a Nora. So Nora, with the Yuumi, will give my Wukong extra damage, as well as some extra healing. So because my Wukong is the super unit, I'm playing Nora on my board as an intermediate step. There's certain units that you always have to pay attention to, specifically stuff like Chrono units, things like Nora, units that just buff your board, Arcana for example as well, Bastions, things that give you like buffs to specific units or buffs to your board are very, very important. So here, I end up making the Gargoyle now. I'm playing Shen because Shen stuns. I'm probably going to swap out Shen for a Chrono unit once I can. Chrono gives your whole team a passive heal, even with the 2 Chrono. It got nerfed, but it's totally fine. And as you can see, on Wukong 2, Jinx 2, this is usually stable for most of stage 4. So I'm going to try and collect. I'm going to slow roll above 50 gold, buy charms, make sure I'm super stable on this stage, not to lose too much HP. Get my scoreboard scrapper value, and then towards the end of the game, I'll be really strong. So not only did I get a lot of scoreboard scrapper value, I also got the spin to win. I have like perfect items on this Wukong, and I'm trying to support this Wukong until I have enough items on the Jinx that I feel like it's worthwhile. Right? If you look at it now, 2 Hunter Jinx, she's still going to be doing less damage than my Wukong, so I'd rather play around the Nora to help the Wukong. This is really important in your mid game, right? In your mid game, you don't have to always cookie cutter play the exact board. You have to look logically and say to yourself, okay, who on my board is the threat, who on my board is doing the damage, who on my board needs to survive in order for this round to work out. And the answer is, in this case, it's Wukong. Here, I would love to have a combat augment. The stronger the combat augment, the better. There is one problem. I think You Have My Bow is really bad here. I did not hit a combat augment. Dual Q just gives me thing. I actually want to relook at this because I feel like this is what fucks me up a little bit. Let me double check here. Okay, vertically inclined is bad because I'm always gonna have more traits in because I want to support my Wukong. Teaming Up is a support item in 2-4 cost. The support items are really bad because it's hard for me to get a support item on my Wukong. Some of them work out, but a lot of them don't because I'm usually solo frontlining the Wukong. So I roll those 2, and I'm just looking for any combat, like literally anything that makes me stronger in a fight. Dual Q doesn't do that. I don't need 5 costs. I already have so many 5 costs. Explosive Growth is useless because that's not combat. I don't need to level up. I'm going to stay on level 7 for most of the game. So I end up having to take You Have My Bow. Now, You Have My Bow is really, really bad here. It's okay for Jinx. because it gives you a bow and it gives you attack speed. But it's kind of like diminishing returns. The Wukong, every time Wukong casts, if you read his ability and spin to win, he gains attack speed anyways. So this extra 12% attack speed really doesn't matter, especially in longer team fights here. It's gonna be pretty much useless. I find another Nora. I'm finding so many 5 costs. Like I found a Briar as well. I honestly just want to find an Olaf, if anything, right? Olaf and Wukong 3, and then I just push levels. I'm holding on to the Noras. It's kind of like a little bit of a grief because I don't really need Nora 2. Nora's not really doing damage on my board. It's more so that I have Nora to just support my Wukong. So you'll see that eventually, even though I'm Nora paired, I'm probably going to sell one of the Noras. Because at one point, once I have Jinx 3, I'm going to want to play 4 Hunter because this Wukong damage won't be enough to deal with the rest of the board. Wukong, when you play Spin to Win, even though he has Bloodthirster and he's doing a bunch of damage, he does survive a lot. This is a board, like, this is a learning to spell mages board, as you can see. And this guy didn't hit any of his 3 stars yet. And my Wukong already almost died, right? The Wukong lived, obviously, and Wukong 3 will live, obviously. But when there's a lot more explosive damage that the Wukong doesn't get multiple casts off to heal with the Bloodthirster, he doesn't have the same resistances that he does if you're playing, like, the traditional non-spin to win Wukong Jinx board, right? Because, you know, I'm giving him attack items. I'm giving him items to do damage. If he doesn't do damage and scale in the fight, then we're going to run into a spot where he might just die really early. And then if he dies, my whole board collapses because he's basically the only frontline unit that I'm playing. So, you know, it is what it is. We'll try and cap our board out. We'll try our best. I'm hitting a lot of Wukongs. I'm hitting close to no Jinxes. So we're running into this awkward situation where it's like, you know, we really want to hit Wukong 3, Jinx 3. You know, if we don't hit them, we're going to start to fall behind. Which is totally fine. We're scoreboard scrapper, so I'm okay with losing rounds to stay in that bot 4 HP threshold because I keep getting extra attack damage from it. Scoreboard scrapper also isn't that great with Jinx, if I'm not mistaken. I think if I check the stats, because the problem is with Hunters, they gain so much AD that it's diminishing returns at one point. Right, that's why with Jinx a lot of times you just build attack speed, by the way. It's because like the Hunter trait gives her so much AD that you don't really need to make like a Deathblade on Jinx a lot of the time, right? It's a level of diminishing returns. You'd rather just put like double Gwinsu on her, or QSS, or like an IE QSS and have her crit with all the AD, something like that. But I think like scoreboard scrapper, it's always gonna be like an awkward to look it up. Yeah, if you look at it with Jinx 3, it's pretty bad. Like if you put like Wukong Jinx with scoreboard scrapper, it's not that great. It's still okay, but it's not like it's plus delta, right? Now obviously that might be because people die, because like scoreboard scrapper, sometimes people don't cash it out, especially if you're in a certain elos where you're not as familiar with the patch and like reading your board really well. So, you know, it's always a risk. However, this was like a straight pivot without having early Jinxes, so it's expected that I'm going to hit Jinx a little bit later. Ideally, I want to hit this Wukong 3 as early as possible. This guy annoys me, by the way, because he hits Spoils of War, then he hits the Beast Friends thing, and then he hits Final Ascension. Like, I'm pretty sure if I have Wukong 3 here, I can beat this guy. But I'm trying to greed my gold as much as possible because I'm trying to play for a first here. Right? I think when I was streaming, it's like, okay, sit up, Fenrir. You know, this is going to be one of those days. You know, this is the game. We went fourth, but this is the game we go first. This guy is going to be a threat later, depending on what he hits. Because if he hits the RE3 and he gets Arcana with the Beast Friends, he's going to be very, very strong. Me, I still haven't found an Olaf, but I'm rolling above 50 every turn. I was very rich because I did lose streak the entire early game, and now I'm win streaking this entire like mid to late game setup. However, like I said, scoreboard scrapper now, I'm not getting increasing value. I actually worked out that I'm so strong that now I'm above the threshold. There's so many people that are really weak. A lot of time with scoreboard scrapper, you'd still be in the bot 4 HP as of right now. But if you look at the HP breakdown of everybody else, basically everybody has around the same HP. Like they all have like around 30 HP. And like there's one guy with 50 and one guy with 70. So it just works out now that I am in the top 4 of HP. When you're in the top 4 of HP, what happens is you no longer gain buffs. You no longer buff your board every single turn from Scoreboard Scrapper. See, like, you see how it says if you're in the bot 4, you gain 1.5 attack damage and ability power. If you're in the top 4, they have 10% more health. So now I'm no longer scaling with Scoreboard Scrapper, which is just really unfortunate because of the lobby, right? A lot of times you'll have a couple people that are 10 HP, a couple people that are 40 HP, and maybe like one high roller. But here the lobby HP is actually very, very even, right? You have 20, 20, 20, and me with 45. So a lot of times, like, you'll end up this round, one of those people, a lot of times, instead of them be like 3-way 20s or like 15 and 16, there'll be like one person dying, and there'll be one extra person, and then I could maybe be in like the 5th position, so I get Scoreboard Scrapper for 2 more turns. That's like the idea. However, it's fine. But like I said, Scoreboard Scrapper is pretty bad on Jinx, Wukong. Jinx and Wukong and all the other units, they don't really use that AD really well. Wukong with Spin to Win already gets a bunch of attack damage and attack speed and whatever. So, you know, like, you don't really care too much about like juicing him even further. So we'll see how it goes. Here I make Last Whisper. This was a big decision for me. I wasn't sure what to make. I don't have Sundering. And you'll see that I complain about it a lot. I think it's the right decision to make Last Whisper on the Jinx. If you look at the stats though, I had the option to make QSS. I noticed a lot, like, especially when I was watching like regionals and stuff. Also, I should have rolled way faster here. I'm one off Wukong 3. I should just send it to 0. Because you don't want to lose any of these fights for just like bad RNG. You want to just win. You just want to win. So hopefully we cheese this round and we just win this round for free now. But as soon as I hit Jinx 3, I'll switch to the 4 Hunter version. Because then my Jinx is going to do enough damage that I feel like it's not important for me to fully support this guy. Oh, come on. Oh, it's such a narrow loss. If I rolled deeper, I would have saved a life. That's really, really important, especially for late game. That's my bad. Sorry, guys. Okay, gain a lesser champ duplicate. Now I send it. We're looking for whichever one we hit first between Jinx and Wukong, we play. And then I hit both. I don't need my duplicator for anybody, and I already spent 5 gold on it, so I'm just going to use the lesser duplicator, right? I'm not going for Zillion 3. I'm not going for anybody else. If I use it on another unit, it's just 3 gold anyways. So it was kind of useless for me to buy it, but it was mostly to guarantee to make sure that I was fine. And then I just pushed level to 8 here because I don't want to lose the next round. I just want to stay with my HP lead at this point. Now we have Wukong 3, Jinx 3. I'm going to pivot my board, don't worry. Next turn, I'm going to pivot it to the 4 Hunter variation. I'm going to get rid of Nora. Because now I have Jinx 3 that's going to be doing a lot of damage. So now, you know, I'm confident to play the Jinx 3. Anyways, the other thing I wanted to say is that a lot of times you'll see people, I see it a lot in like pro play and like higher elos, that they just make QSS on Jinx. QSS gives such a large amount of attack speed, and the resistance to stun is actually really, really important with Jinx, especially since she gets so much AD. The problem is, like, I wanted to make QSS, but I don't have Last Whisper. A lot of times you're better off just making Even Shroud, by the way. Last Whisper, it works by like the unit that you target, and Jinx, like here I have Runan, so it's pretty good. But a lot of times it's like, you'd rather just put the what's it called? You would much rather put the like an Even Shroud on like a frontline-ish unit, and it hits more units, and then like your other hunters get a little bit more value from the Sundering. And then you usually put QSS on Jinx, which you could like put onto Olaf eventually, but it's fine to put on her. It gives her a bunch of attack speed. A lot of times you pair it with IE because of the crit chance stacking on both of them. But either way, it's fine. I made Last Whisper because I need some armor pen, or else I might lose some of these rounds. But yeah, we made it to level 8. We're going to try and go level 9. Level 9, as you can see, I'm holding a couple of units. I bought the charm that gave you a 3-star 1 cost, and I got Nomsy here. Now, typically, right, you play Kog'Maw, because Kog'Maw's ability is that he gives attack speed to his adjacent allies. So you put Kog'Maw next to Jinx, and you give Jinx attack speed. However, Nomsy 3 does a shit ton of damage. So, because I don't have that many Olafs, like, usually on your level 7 roll down, by the way, you'll hit a couple copies of Olaf. There's another guy in the lobby, I think, who's playing Olaf or some shit. I don't remember which game, or maybe not. I just didn't hit any Olafs, right? I have Olaf 1. So, I don't think I have a dual carry, and I'm pretty sure Nomsy is going to do more damage. Anyways, I get anti-heal Morello. right? So I didn't have anti-heal before. I'll just put on Nomsy. Nomsy usually wants sword items, so it's not the best item on him, but it's an item nonetheless, and it's a Nomsy 3. He has so much AD because of 4 Hunter, by the way. So the Nomsy will actually do a significant chunk of damage here. You don't have to worry about that. I also have the out that I can maybe play towards like 3 Dragon when I level up, and I can drop a Preserver. But I have this Morgana. Ideally, I can hit Olaf 2 at one point. I'm going to buy a Charm every single round here. I just want to, you know, I'm not really like greeting to scoreboard scrap. I just want to make sure I don't accidentally lose around here because I want to play for first. And then once we have enough gold, we'll be able to level to 9, maybe in the middle of stage 6. But yeah, all in all, it was an okay game. The tempo that I hit, like obviously I got bailed out by spin to win, but the tempo that I hit this Jinx Wukong is actually a little bit slow. I rolled really deep to hit the Jinx 3 Wukong 3 at the beginning of stage 5. So I'm actually not in the best spot. Scoreboard Scrapper seems like it's really good, but it's actually pretty bad on Wukong Jinx. It's not like a recommended thing. Obviously stats are stats and they're all going to be good. But specifically in my build, it's very diminishing returns for what it is. Because my units, by their passive abilities, gain so much AD and gain so much attack speed and all of these things, they don't really care too much for ability power. It's like, at that point, it's like, you know, if your Jinx isn't already one-shotting, like your Jinx 3, it's like the Scoreboard Scrapper isn't going to make it one-shot. You know what I mean? So it falls off a little bit. So, you know, it looks like I have Exodia, but I really don't. And then you have my bow is so fucking bad. Like, you have my bow is like the thing that you take to get bailed out because you don't have a fucking double Guinsoo. But you have my bow and I have a single Guinsoo and a Runans. You know what I mean? It's just not that great. But all of these boards, I'm pretty sure I beat. The only person that I don't know if I beat is the Honeymancy board, because Honeymancy was buffed so fucking much that shit is so fucking good that it's like, oh, it's gonna be such a pain in the ass. Because, like, the whole point with the Honeymancy is, like, if I can't chew through the Blitzcrank before my Wukong dies, I'm pretty sure I just lose. And it's just so annoying. Like, for what it is, the reason I say it's annoying is because of the gold invested, right? Like, a Ziggs 3 with a fucking Blitzcrank 3 is, like, as tanky, like, in my experience. Like, maybe I'm wrong, obviously. Like, you know, if you have different experiences in your games, that's totally fine. But in a lot of games that I play, I've been playing these fucking Honeymancy boards. I have Wukong 3, Jinx 3, and this guy has Blitzcrank 3, Ziggs 3, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Why is a one cost this big, this monstrous? You know what I mean? But obviously, like, you know, it's not all the time. It's usually by nature of augments, right? Like, a lot of times, Honeymancy, you either have best friends or beast friends. Sorry, I don't know which one you want to say it, but it's like that Honeymancy augment that gives them extra bees. There's the augment like 2 tanky that makes them absolutely unkillable. And then because they're low cost units, if you were able to hit them and then level up for Arcana, then you could get the Ari Arcana buff because you have a bunch of 3 stars. Or you can also take the Tom Kench or the Hecarim one that either gives you durability or HP, so it just makes your board way more tanky than it needs to be. Here I'm rolling for some sort of combat charm, just to make sure that I win these rounds. Even though I'm 34 HP, I'm at the point now at stage 6 damage, so I'm really only 2 lives. I'm not 3 lives anymore, so any fight that I lose, I can just like lose the game on the spot. This guy's 7 mage. He's not even the learning to spell guy, but this is an example of what happens with Wukong sometimes. You see my Wukong, he just kind of dies to the Vigor, which sucks. This is the thing that I hate about Vigor, by the way. I just want to point it out here. So there was a clip of me, or there was a video of me where I was like bitching about how Gwen always misses her attacks, and I always say, how come she can't just like curve her fucking sword like Vigor can? Like, look at this shit. I'm gonna show you this fight, right? Watch this fight. This is part of the reason why Vigor is so busted, and he's been strong the whole fucking patch, but nobody ever talks about this, and I'm gonna talk about it right here. This is a teachable moment. Certified Fenrir teachable moment. Put a stamp on it. Vigor is busted because he doesn't fucking miss. He's so tilting because there's so many other units that they miss. Look at this shit. Watch this Vigor, right? Look, he kills a unit, right? He kills a unit, and then look at the fucking bullet. Right? He kills this unit. He's not aiming at Jinx. Did you see it fucking curved? I would have won that fight if Vigor missed. If that's a Gwen, if this Vigor was a Gwen, there's so many times that Gwen just ults, the person moves an inch, and Gwen misses. Gwen doesn't turn and track. This guy's fucking homing missiles. It is so ridiculous. For a unit that does like a fucking 1,000 damage a hit, to have that fucking shit curve like that, it's why it's so consistent. You never run into a spot where you get RNG fucked over. It's like if a unit dies, the Vigor fucking will hit the next unit and kill them as well. It is so annoying. Right? And the only reason that's annoying is like I think it's totally valid to have a unit that doesn't miss, but like I've played Gwen. Like, why does Gwen still miss the whole set? She's just ulting nothing. I've lost so many games because my Gwen missed the fucking dude staring right in front of him, and then that piece of shit Vigor just curves. You know, I'm done. Whatever. Anyways, hopefully, I'm kind of just joking a little bit, but I'm trying to like ham it up. It didn't really matter that much because I know it exists, but that's crazy. Can we admit that's crazy? Like, I don't think Jinx bullets curve. Anyways, I'm fighting the Honeymancy guy. This is the guy I said I was scared about. He's Final Ascension, Ziggs 3, Kog'Maw 3, Ahri on board, level 9, Spoils of War, Arcana in. So I lose to this guy. It's going to come down to a last round situation. Now, I don't know what the best play is here. So if you look at my items, I didn't get a good Nomsy item. I don't have good Olaf items. So I really need to have a good charm. I have two options. I can level and play a unit to help out the rest of my board. I should have probably leveled and played Nora. I think that's my mistake here. There's two options, right? I either roll to try and hit a Giga Charm to win out the fight, or I level and I play like Nora or a Preserver. I think I put in the Rakan here. Like, I just don't think that Olaf 2 matters, and I don't think selling the noms you're putting in Kog'Maw is going to make a difference. So yeah, that's just rough. And then I should just sell Kog'Maw, buy this, move a unit to the front. I moved Olaf. I should move Morgana. That's not good. Okay, the problem is he's solo. The reason this board counters my board, by the way, is because he's solo frontline Blitzcrank. And I think he's also Vanguard with Ahri. So if you look at this Blitzcrank, my Jinx and my Wukong aren't able to kill it because he just has way too much. And my Wukong dies too soon, right? You'll see my Wukong, like this fight's going a lot better because I actually killed it. But as you see, my Wukong already died. So I lost a lot of my damage. I'm pretty sure Nora, I win this fight. If I had Nora on... I put in the wrong unit. That's my bad. If I put in Nora, like 4 Preserver doesn't really do anything because I don't have Morgana 2. I should have put in Nora on the Wukong, and I probably would have won this fight. Now, I still have to beat this guy twice, but it's basically because of Hunter procs, right? You have to kill the Blitzcrank, who's the solo frontline unit, before I'm able to actually do damage with Jinx, because then the Hunter procs. That's how it works. So I kind of tossed the ending, like the last fight. I could have played it a lot better because I could have just played Nora instead. I don't think the leveling was too big of an issue, but he also had Dragon. Like, he had a really good charm. I think I was just narrowly unable to like convert it. If I had like 10 more gold, which I probably could have gotten like somewhere along the fight, it would have been a lot better because then I could have leveled and had a little bit of extra leeway on rolling for a charm. I should have probably won that game, but I kind of messed up the last round. So that's the main takeaway. But anyways, Wukong Jinx spin to win. Hopefully it wasn't informative. Excuse me. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day.